Hey everybody, I thought today I would like to do something a little different with my videos. I've been doing kind of the same thing for a while, and so what I decided to do is, I think I've mentioned it, but I don't know if y'all know or not, but I started getting night terrors back when I had my first fall, the fall where I broke my hip. And they are really scary, and they can be embarrassing, and I guess it's just like any other dream. It seems very real at the time it's happening, and then someone explains to you that what you just experienced is not real, and they'll sometimes have to talk you down from the fear that you get from them. And so I thought I would just tell you a few of my night terrors. I wrote down little notes over here to help me remember. One of the very first night terrors I had, and at the time I didn't know that's what it was, and I guess I thought it was real until I found out different. But anyway, I dreamed about clowns, and I am really not a fan of clowns, and they scare me and all that. And I remember I was at the bed, and the clowns were standing in the doorway, and at an area where there is no door in our bedroom, and they never said a word, but they would just turn their head and look like this at me and do little happy gestures with their hands. And then there's another place that they were standing where there is a doorway, and there was a couple that came up there and stood, and they were kind of transparent. Well, they didn't look transparent until somebody would walk through them, and then they were transparent. And then where you open the door to the bedroom, when somebody would come in and open the door and shut it, there'd be a clown sitting on a bar stool behind that door. And I just got really terrified, and it was Randy and Kaylin and me here. And I kept telling the clowns to go away. This is my family, and you're not going to hurt us, and to just go away. And I guess Randy kind of told Kaylin just to not say anything to me. Just let me get through it or whatever, because Kaylin and Randy just mostly just stood over to the side and watched. And eventually, I don't know if the clowns left or if I just gave up or what, but that was the story of the clowns. And then the very first thing, looking back now, at the time I just thought it was real, but now I definitely know it wasn't. But I was sitting on my bed, and I looked out the left window, and there was a big, I think it was a chicken house. But if you've never seen a chicken house, you wouldn't really know. It's just like a big red barn that is real long, and you can see, depending on how the people raise their chickens, you can see them flying around in there sometimes and stuff. And there was a little girl, I think she was probably about Kaylin's age, about 12, and she was just walking up and down the rows and playing with the chickens, and nothing bad happened. But I thought that was real until I thought about it later, and it was not real. So that wasn't very exciting, but it happened. Another one is when I was in rehab, and I had a lot of night terrors in rehab, and I won't remember all of them to tell you, but in this one I could hear my mom talking, and my mom has been passed away for 25 years. But her and Kaylin, who y'all know is my 12-year-old daughter, they were on the floor I was on, but they didn't talk like they were hospitalized. They were more like maybe they were visiting somebody, and they talked and walked around and all, but they avoided me. And I keep thinking, why are you avoiding me? I would love to give my mom a hug and just tell her I love her and all that. But she would never come near me, and she just did everything she could to not let me see her. And so I asked one of the physical therapist guys, and this I'm pretty sure is real. I asked him to go into a room across the hall and see if my mother was there. And he looked at my husband. I guess my husband and some family had come to visit, or it could have been part of the hallucination. I call it hallucinations, and I also call it night terrors. But I've been told it's night terrors, but you hallucinate. So anyway, I think that my husband was trying to tell him I was hallucinating, but I think that he saw the need to go look and see if that was my mom and Kaylin. And he went and he came back and he said no, that he didn't see her. And so I just couldn't get my mind off of her. And so in a little bit, it's so crazy the things you dream or think about or hallucinate. But I went down to my truck. We had a black truck at the time, but we don't now. But anyway, I went and sat down in the driver's seat. I wasn't going anywhere. I just went there to just get away from things for a few minutes. But I heard my mom talking, and she was in the car next to me. But for the life of me, I could never, ever see her. And so that went on, one place or another. She would be on the grounds of the rehab, and I would always try to find her, but I can never see her. So that is that. And then there's the lady in the bed beside of me. I had a room to myself most of the time that I was there, but this lady did come in, and her stay was just for respite care, which means to give her family a little bit of time for themselves. And so when people were around, none of this ever happened. But the minute that it was me and her, just me and her, in the room, she would start barking and saying things, and like there was somebody there that she was talking to. And the barking, I thought, she is really a good barker. But I've been thinking about that more and more, and I don't think that lady barked and did that. I think that was just a hallucination. And I would see shadows and like animals, people walking by all the time. And I just acted like it was nothing because it wasn't going to go away, I don't feel like. And I didn't want to be, interacting with something that I knew wasn't there, so I just never said anything or told anybody or anything. And it didn't stop, but it was very real. And then I wrote something down, and now I don't know what it means. But anyway, one time I was in the hospital. This is all around the same time. But I was in the hospital, and I dreamed for some reason that I needed to get out. So I needed to get out and get a job so I could pay for my hospital stay. So I went to a place in the town that I live in. It's a dry cleaners. And I've never really been in a dry cleaners, and I don't know really how they work. But I went in there and asked about a job, and they said, okay, hold on. And then a group of people came by there where I was standing, and they were kind of rushing by in water. The water was carrying them on down to what I assumed was where you did the actual work. And now I can't walk. I can walk, but have to have help standing up. I have to have somebody to hold on, or I hold on to a walker. If I'm going to walk any distance at all, I have to have a wheelchair and all that. And I thought, what am I going to do when they have us go down through there and it's water? I'll probably drown. And so I started getting really nervous and upset over it and thinking, what in the world could I do? And so I thought, I'm going to call my son-in-law and ask him to come get me. And so I did. In reality, I did call my son-in-law, and I told him what was going on about the employees being rushed by in the water, and that was going to happen to me, and I was going to die, and please come get me. And I was scared and all this. And I said, what if they won't let me go? And he said, they'll let you go. Don't worry about it. They'll let you go. So he came up there, and when he got up there, he found out that it wasn't real, and he went back home. But he called the hospital where I was at, and anyway, I can't fill in right there because I really don't remember. But there's some bells ringing, and I think it's on a TV show in the other room, and it's kind of taking my mind off of this. But anyway, I was laying there, what I felt like was kind of in the water, but that they had a stretcher in the water, and I was laying there real still. And so this lady in white walked by me and looked at me, and I said, "I know you. You're my nurse." And she said, "Yeah, I'm your nurse." And I told her where I thought I was. She said, "No, you are in your room." And so I started looking at the wall, and it had things just like they were when I was there. Everything was just like it was before all this happened. And that was such a good feeling, knowing that I wasn't somewhere and might be in trouble or something. So that one is that. And this one's kind of the same lines. There was in my hallucination, there was a party for a hospital employee, and they invited me and a group of people I knew. And I don't know people in the hospital, but they invited me and this group of people. And everybody, the group of people, started leaving. And because I couldn't walk and all that, I was left there, and somehow I got on a hospital bed. And so eventually a nurse came by, and I told her that I didn't know where I was, but could she help me? And it turned out it was one of my nurses, and by then I guess they knew I was having issues and all. But anyway, she explained to me what was going on, and then I saw on the walls the things that told me that was my hospital bed. And so that was that. And then one of the worst ones was I was in the hospital, and I dreamed that they took me out of my room and put me in one of the worst areas and rooms in the hospital, like way in the back, where people couldn't afford to pay for their room. And I don't even think they have an area like that in real life, but where people couldn't afford to pay for their room or have care given and all that, and they put me in there. But worse than that, people would come, drive up, park their car. You didn't even have to go into the hospital to go into the room. It was kind of like a real small apartment, and you could walk in from the outside into the room. And so just all these different people that I had no idea who they were would pull up and come in my room, and they would use the restroom, watch TV, fix something to eat, and all this, and nobody ever acknowledged me. And then people in the hospital would come through this door that was on the other side of a wall, and a lot of people would come out at one time and stuff. And to make it even worse, my ex-husband was one of the people that would come and go, and he had a girlfriend, and there was children, and I don't know if those children were their children or just her children or just his children. It doesn't really matter. But they told me to babysit for them, and I couldn't take care of myself, much less children, but they would come and go, and I would tell the nurse, I'd say, people are coming into my room through the door and through that wall, or through that door over there on the other side of the wall. And she'd say, there's not a door on the other side of the wall. And I'd go, yes, there is, and the people are coming through. And I got so agitated because she wouldn't believe me, and I said, come over here and let me show you. And so when I walked over there was no door. People were not coming through. But then, in a few minutes, there'd be more people coming through, and I'd start all over again about the people coming through and coming in the room and all that they were doing. And she'd have to tell me again there was no people. And finally I got so scared and so upset about that going on that I called 911, and the police came. And I'm assuming that the nurse told them that I was having the hallucinations and stuff, because they didn't arrest me, and they didn't arrest any of the imaginary people. So, eventually, I think I was actually still in the bed where I first was given that bed, and they just had me go back to bed, and my head cleared some, and I realized that I was where I was supposed to be, and everything was okay. There's more stuff, like when I was in the hospital and my ex-husband came there. My family told me that I spoke to him, and I'll say they said it wasn't very nice what I said. And I'm not sure what I said, but it probably wasn't very nice. So anyway, that's it for a few stories about the night terrors. And if you know anybody that has them, please be compassionate with them, because they're scary, and the people who have them really need to get some sort of help if they continue to have them. So with that being said, I will let y'all go, and it's about, well, I don't see a clock, but it's about midnight, and I probably ought to be in bed. So I love all of you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.